Check, test 1, 2. Testing audio.
Jamie to Tony.
Testing 1, 2. Okay.
Information contact for Washington is Ricky Brackett. If you could also take this minute to please check your cell phone and make sure that it's turned off during the news conference. Flash photography and video recording is not permitted during this time period. And also, if you could please raise your hand and identify yourself and your affiliation prior to asking the question as well. We will bring you a microphone once you've raised your hand.
me to sit all the way down here?
Yeah, I think they've
Oh,
got you down there.
okay.
And we're gonna, I've already done most of the general remarks, so we just open it right up.
Okay.
In just a minute. Thank you for joining us for the press conference for the Washington women's basketball team. We are joined at the podium by head coach Mike Neighbors. Again, just a quick reminder, if you could please raise your hand and identify your name and affiliation prior to asking your question, and we will open it up for questions.
Steve McGargy, Associated Press. Y'all have, obviously, y'all did what you did in the second round. You've had a pretty good road record all year. What's been the key for you guys to play as well as you have away from home this season?
I think when we get on the road, we eliminate a whole lot of distractions that you have at home. You're used to your surroundings. You've got a lot of friends there. When you get on the road, it's just a very small travel group, and I think this group's really tight-knit. We've had a really cool vibe about our team all year long, and it's turned out to be that's what it is. They kind of like to be together. We've been on the road a lot. We had to travel a long way to get to Maryland, a long way back, and then a long way here. So I wouldn't have done that with a team that didn't get along, but this team gets along really well. And I think being on the road eliminates a lot of distractions, and you can just really focus on what's at hand.
Jen Smith with the Herald-Leader in Lexington. What was your thinking process behind taking them all the way back to Seattle and then bringing them back to the Eastern time zone? And do you worry about jet lag or any of that stuff moving forward?
I talked to a lot of people who have been faced with that decision before, whether to, make a day back and forth. And everybody had said they wish that they would have slept in their own bed, let their kids go back and enjoy the excitement. If we would have just stayed up there and maybe spent the day in D.C.'s touring monuments or something, we would have never got to go home and let our fans see us and their friends that we were talking about being away. Plus, we would have been away for a significant amount of time. We are on spring break, so that was a factor. We weren't going back and having to rush with classes. And I don't know if y'all have traveled lately on one of these charters, but it's not like we were in a bus or a train or something. It's pretty nice, and they had their own rows. And when I asked them, I've really learned to trust this team. I got some input. I knew what I wanted to do, but it didn't matter what I wanted. They said they wanted to go home. So we did that, and it turned around. We had a really hard travel trip in Baltimore. It was way out, and we had a lot of traffic to deal with and just all kinds of planes, trains, and automobiles moments, if y'all have seen that movie. And this trip's been great, so I don't think you'll see any effect from it.
Coach Larry Vaught with VaultsViews.com. Could you talk a little bit about Michaela Epps and just your impressions of her?
Yeah. Anytime a kid's capable of putting a triple-double on you, she better get your attention. She can dominate the game without having to score. She can dominate the game without having to get shots. And she's a very, very impressive leader. You can tell that she's the one that gets them rallied together. And, I obviously growing up watching her dad play, I'm from Arkansas, so I remember the days of him playing. Then when we recruited her, you could tell who she was immediately, their styles of play. She presents a lot of problems because she's so aggressive, and we've got a player like that too, so we have to guard somebody like that in practice every day. And when she can hit you scoring, she can hit you rebounds, she can hit you with assists. She makes a really hard weapon.
Matt Calkin, Seattle Times. Coach, you got a fan back here in Amy, longtime girlfriend. Normally she works the scorers tables at Kentucky games.
Amy and Holly both.
Yeah, okay.
They're the twins.
Right.
Yeah.
They're going to recuse themselves for this game, right?
Yeah, you see them in purple back there. That's a big deal for these guys. I gave our kids a little bit of lesson on Big Blue Nation and how deep it runs. And when the brackets came out, obviously, we're still doing the distance relationship thing. She lives in Lexington. She travels out a lot, but they live 4 or 5 miles from here. So they would have probably been working this, had we not been in it. Yeah. So it's kind of neat to be here and be playing, and they're two of our biggest fans.
Can you tell me a little bit about just your familiarity with Lexington? You're probably out here quite a bit because of that dynamic.
I gave the bus driver a shortcut yesterday. There was a backup on New Circle getting off on the exit. And I told him if he'd just shoot on past it, he could take a right down there. We'd come in the back way to the Doubletree. He goes, yeah, I think that's a good idea, and we did. And so, it's we remarked about this. It's really strange to be on a road trip and know exactly where you are. We're going to have a cookout over at 4401 Heartland Parkway tonight about 6:37. It's right there on the corner. It's a dangerous intersection. There's a lot of wrecks there, but we'll be grilling. We got a new grill for this, and if they get the deck cleaned by then, we'll be grilling out starting about 6:30 for the game. So.
Last thing, your kids, I imagine, live in Arkansas.
They're in
correct?
Arkansas.
Are they going to come out to this? And
it's Easter weekend. You know, we got a lot of travel. Their grandparents, my mom and dad, do the biggest Easter egg hunt in Washburn, Arkansas, which there's only 80 people there, so it's really not that big a deal. But they're not going to miss Easter. It's a big holiday, and they're a little bit superstitious too. And they don't really. The last time they came to watch us play on a long road trip, we were the number 1 seed when I coached at Xavier. We were the number 1 seed in the A10 tournament, and we lost in the first round to the 8th seed. It was a massive upset. So they've kind of soured on the idea of coming to tournaments.
You'd mentioned that you gave your kids a tutorial on Big Blue Nation. What exactly did you tell them, and how did you sort of prepare them?
Well, you know, we walked in the craft center yesterday, and our kids had their pictures out, their cameras out, taking pictures and videos, and you're like, oh boy, you know, they're a little bit excited about their environment, and that's good. I wanted them to be excited, and then no one coming in a place like Rupp Arena, I expect there to be 20,000 people out there. And when I said that, they kind of got big eyes, and I said, we may have 200, and they went crazy. We're going to have 200 people, you think? You know, they were excited about the 200 and not intimidated by the possibility of 20,000. But just explain to them how tradition-rich this area is with basketball, how supportive they are, how knowledgeable they are about basketball, and how much it means to the student-athlete experience. And I want our kids to soak it all in. I want them to experience every single part of this because that's why they do it. And we do have 4 great teams here that can really exemplify good student-athletes when it comes to being on and off the court.
Hi, Mike. Mark Story from the Lexington Herald Leader. Is there any update on Matilda Gilling?
Yeah, she did not tear her ACL, which was great news for all of us. She has just been a tremendous person on our campus and in our program for 4 years, and that had been a terrible way for it to have ended. But she does have an injury that is just going to be day-to-day. It's going to be pain tolerance. She has yet to practice. We'll see what happens this afternoon. But we're hopeful, obviously, that she'll be ready to go because she's been our only sub for the last several games.
I'm wondering how many defenses, junk or otherwise, you've seen thrown at Kelsey and sort of how she sort of gets past all that.
Yeah, I've seen everything. Unless somebody invents something new, we've seen it all. We adopted a motto at the beginning of the year, just make them wrong. Whatever they throw at us, let's make them wrong. We've got plans for every single type of thing to do, and we've seen it, and we've simulated it in practice over and over and over. So it's really kind of nice for us because we don't have to spend a lot of time trying to predict what a team's going to do. We just kind of get in the flow of it. We've got a couple of things that we do regardless of how they guard her, and then we adjust throughout the game. And if you've watched her play for any amount of time, you know that it doesn't take her long to figure things out.
Can we get yeah.
Hey, Graham. Yeah.
Oh, just going back over time a little bit, how did you figure out how to best make use of Chantel and what seems like kind of a unique skill set with her in that frame?
Yeah, we got lucky when we found her. I saw her more initially as a great passer and shooter, and then you learn that she can score around the basket, and she's a great defensive player too. So she's our backup point guard, and she's not your prototypical point guard, but we run a lot of our action through her in the half court. Kelsey will bring the ball up the court, but then she throws it to Chantel, and Chantel gets to making those reads. There's not a more instinctive passer in the country, and I'm not saying passing post. I'm saying instinctive passer, period. She sees it. She sees this like chess. I always use that analogy. She plays basketball like a chess player. She's a couple of moves ahead of all of us, including me. I mean, she'll say some things. Hey, Coach, I think if we did this, and lo and behold, she turns out to be right most of the time. So we had to learn to manage her minutes. Obviously, her freshman year, we didn't have a very good plan for that. We tried to make her practice every day, and we got really stickler with those rules. If you can't practice, you can't play. Well, she simply can't practice every single day and be ready to play. And then we made the decision we'd rather have her on the court for games than practice. So she practices one day less and does a cardio workout in the pool, but she can do that because she's so cerebral. And now we got her minutes per game up to, the last 5 or 6 games, she's playing 37, 38 minutes a night.
Sure, you've got such a good inside scouting report on Kentucky.
Yeah.
Could you, other than Michaela Epps, could you just talk about your general impressions of Kentucky?
Yeah, I think Matthew's done a really good job with this particular group with the change in the depth, taking the pressure off full court all the time and just becoming a really good half-court defensive team when he needs to be. And I think that's made them a lot harder to play against. I mean, used to, you knew what you were going to get, and he wasn't going to change. It was going to be this, again, it's like a pitcher having just a fastball. They used to just have a fastball. Now he's got a changeup and a curve and a slider, and it's not just Michaela Epps. Macy Morris is going to go 4 for 5 on you if you spend too much attention on her, and if you don't get a body on those bigs, they're going to both get double-doubles. And Janae Thompson, I've seen her play probably more than anybody in the SEC. We recruited a few of her teammates when I was coaching at Xavier, and just her steady and ability to be big when they need her to be big. I think their role development with this team is probably as identifiable as any team of theirs I've seen the last 8 or 9 years. And I think they've really, really done a good job with the group they've got. And I'll tell you, these guys don't give me anything. They're still Big Blue Nation unless we're playing. I mean, they didn't give me any tips, but I watched them a lot on film. I've got a lot of friends that coach in the league still, so.
Any other questions for Coach Neighbors?
Thank you all.
If not, then thank you very much. The press conference is concluded. We will begin with the student-athlete press conference in just a few minutes. Again, while we're waiting, if you could just, sorry, I scared everybody. If you could make sure to, again, reintroduce yourself to the student athletes and your affiliation prior to asking the question, that would be helpful. Okay, thank you. And the student athletes are on their way. Yeah, they're on their way, they said. Thank you for joining us for the press conference for the Washington women's basketball team. We're joined at the podium by student athletes Kelsey Plum, Talia Walton, and Chantel Osahor. Again, when you have a question, please state your name, affiliation, and who your question is specifically addressed to. And we will open it up for questions.
Steve McGargy from the Associated Press. This is for Kelsey. Just winning at Maryland on their home floor, how much confidence does that give you going into what you're facing Friday? And just what's made you a good road team this year? I know your road record's pretty good.
It was a great team win against Maryland. I think that we just stayed together, and we had a great game plan going in. Our coaches did a phenomenal job of getting us prepared. So I think going into tomorrow night, we have the same game plan. Obviously a different team, but we're going to stay together. We're going to fight tremendously hard, and I think defense is going to be the key in this game. And like you said, we've been playing a lot of close games all year on the road. The Pac-12 conference has really helped us. There's been some really tough teams that we've had to face on the road this year, so I think that's prepared us for this game tomorrow night.
I'm Mark Story from the Lexington Herald-Leader. This is for Talia. How do you feel about playing Kentucky in Rupp Arena?
I'm excited. Obviously, this is a phenomenal facility and a great city that just loves their basketball here. So it's nice to come in and play in a place like this. As a team, we're excited as well. You know, just another challenge that we're going to have to face, and I'm excited to see how we overcome.
Jen Smith with the Herald-Leader in Lexington, too. Kelsey, how do you guys play with 5 or 6 players? And has it made you a better, more cohesive team, maybe, because you have fewer players?
Well, it's kind of fun. We've been getting this question a lot lately. We've actually played 5 or 6 players all year. You know, it's just the 5 of us and then, you know, people that come in. We play really well together, and we have a great chemistry. It's nothing new for us. You know, we're 20-plus years old. There's long media timeouts. And you know what? We're playing on adrenaline. We have a lot of fun with it. I think it honestly keeps the game flowing, and it allows for things to kind of work together in the game. You know, there's a lot of cohesiveness. There's really nothing new for us. Obviously, Kentucky's a very good team, and you know, they have a lot of players that can really go. So it's just going to be another fun challenge for us.
Chantel, I was wondering how much jet lag, if any, you guys have experienced going East Coast back to West Coast for a few hours and then back to East Coast. Coach said you guys sort of voted to go back home. Do you still feel good about that decision?
Yeah, I feel great. I think we all feel great. No jet lag anywhere. We're good.
Just for Kelsey, I know you were a pretty highly recruited player. What made you decide on Washington when you did? And also, what made you decide to stick with Washington after, I think the coaching change happened when you were still, I think before you'd actually enrolled, so.
I chose University of Washington for a number of reasons. I love the school. I love the area of Seattle. Seattle's a basketball town, and they really support their women's basketball. In addition to that, I wanted to kind of help build a program. I mean, Talia and, you know, Jasmine Davis and Amina Williams, those 2 have graduated, but T's still here. They really kind of started the foundation, and I wanted to come and try something new. I think a lot of players out of high school, and this is no disrespect to top recruits, but they kind of just join a Baylor or a Tennessee or whatever the case may be. Not that that's a bad thing, but I think that I wanted to kind of take a leap of faith and try something different. And, you know, I stuck with my commitment because I just felt like that's the school I fell in love with. Those are the teammates I fell in love with and the coaches. And Neighbors, I know that he's a great basketball mind and he was going to do a great job, so I felt like it was still the right place for me.
Any other questions for our student athletes?
Talia, is it odd that your coach is dating a Kentucky fan? Has that become like sort of an inside, you know, joke?
Well, I mean, she doesn't look like a Kentucky fan right now, but Go Dogs. But it's a lot of fun. It's nice. It felt like it wasn't even a road trip when we got to the hotel because, we had little goodie bags in there and like cards saying Go Dogs on them. So it was a lot of fun. Obviously, we know the home, they still got a little blue inside their hearts, but it's nice to see them in purple for just this weekend. No, they're actually like really big fans of ours, though. They support us throughout the entire year, so this isn't anything new.
They bleed purple and gold.
That's right.
Any other questions for our student athletes? If not, then thank you very much. The press conference has concluded.
Thank you.